This is the Final Word World Cup Daily, T20 World Cup Daily. Keep forgetting that bit. Day 9. Day 9, Jeff Lemon and Adam Collins.
Hello.
Together again in not quite New York City, Long Island, but New York City according to the bits on the TV that say that. The show's brought to you by Westfield, not the one in New York City, the ones in Westfield, London and Westfield, Stratford City. New Stratford City could be. I don't know. Okay, we've got the small matter of India-Pakistan that was played here in front of a full house today. Adam, please tell me about this entire match in the space of 30 seconds.
Okay, after a number of rain delays, Pakistan won the toss, elected to bowl 75 minutes after the scheduled start. India lost only a couple of wickets in the power play. At one stage, they were 50 for 2. A consistent stream of wickets through the middle overs, though, ultimately losing 7 for 30, only setting 120 for victory. Excellent work from the 4 Pakistani seamers on a run out to finish it. In the chase, Pakistan at one stage got it down to 8 overs to go, 48 runs to get, run a ball, 8 wickets in hand. Winviz said 92%, but they choked badly. Bumrah, penultimate over, magic. They win by 6 runs. They always win eventually.
This is all-time choke, though. Like we've seen Pakistan rock up to a lot of World Cup games and be overawed and be not really in the contest against India for whatever reason. This is a game they absolutely dead cert rolled gold should have won. Right from the beginning of the second innings, they bowled well enough. They held India. I mean, they almost embarrassed India through that bottom half of the scorecard after Rohit and Kohli. Just for 5 seconds, they looked great. You know, Rohit plays the flick off his pads for 6. Kohli goes through the covers for 4 off Naseem Shah. You know, both of them playing those kind of signature shots early, and you're like, oh, they're on here. They're not on because it's so hard to time the ball. This pitch looked a lot better than the ones that we've seen on the other strips here, but it was still difficult to time the ball coming on. But then running through the bottom of the card, bowling them out and over short, a runner ball to get, like any cricket team that's vaguely credible should do that, and Pakistan didn't. Yeah,
they used the right pitch. It was the pitch I used yesterday for the Dutch-South Africa game, so it didn't have the same venom in it, but it was a little bit too pace. So the wicket of Kohli reaching for one, caught at point. I'm thinking for poor old Usman, they're like the scariest 2 seconds of his life when that ball was making his way to him, but he did hold on to it. And that was a feature of the way Pakistan fielded writ large. There were a couple of half chances off Rishabh Pant, who proved to be the key man at number 3. He fell at the start of one of those mini collapses. But Rohit, likewise, he almost scooped it out to deep mid-wicket, having gotten to the contest a wee bit too early. When Pakistan were chasing, they weren't suffering from quite the same challenges because they were playing more conservatively. They were just ticking the board over. The period of play between overs 6 and 10 were positively boring. They were going at 6 and over, doing everything you meant to do. But then Jadeja, first ball after the drinks break, gets the ball to slip through, hits Usman on the pad, leg before wicket on review. It just opened the door a wee bit. So I mentioned before needing 48 from 48. That was with one new batsman at the crease. The true turning point was a couple of overs on from that. Jasmine Bumrah comes back into the attack, 39 from 36 needed. Even then, it's probably not 92%. I don't know what it was precisely, but it would have had an 8 in front of it, or maybe a high 7 in front of it. First ball back from Bumrah, acutely aware of how well Bumrah bowled in his first 2 overs. Bumrah bowled the 6th over against Ireland. That was his first. Today, they had to drag it all the way forward to bowl over number 3. They needed him early. They needed to use his overs judiciously. And when he bowled,
what a move! Like to bring him on at that point in time. It was.
Well, that first over didn't bring a wicket, but his second one.
I mean, the one where he knocks over Rizwan.
He comes back, and it was at the perfect time because the temptation with Bumrah is to go 19-17, but splicing one in, I think it was over 16, so one earlier.
No, it was just 6 to go. So at that point they needed.
Right,
This is kind of the thing is that so you look at the card and you go Rizwan 31 top scored, okay, played well. 31 off 44 in the end. But
he was the set man on a tough pitch.
Fine.
So the fact that he decided to, at that moment, just to finish my point, choose to play a low percentage shot across the line to Bumrah's first ball, there must have been a degree of premeditation associated with that. It becomes you miss, he hits, and of course Bumrah seldom misses. An in-swinger that hits off stump 3/4 of the way up. He'll have to reconcile that, Rizwan, because he would have known that down the other end there was a new man. He would have known that in a chase like this you need your senior players to step up, and for whatever reason that brain explosion comes at that horrible time, and that's when the crowd get involved. That's when suddenly there's some belief.
And that's what makes it worse, right? Not to say that you're not allowed to take up a bit of time, soak up a few deliveries if you're getting yourself set to go through. But if you do that, you can't then go on to play an across-the-line heave. Like he'd already been put down earlier in the innings. He'd had that bit of luck on his side. He was the one there who'd been able to get a little bit of a read on the pitch. But to play that shot at that point in time, you need 39 off 36 balls at that point. So that's tick it over, find singles and get one boundary in there and you're fine, like you said.
Next 3 overs they get 9 runs, right? Like this is the bit. This is where, there are a number of moments in this game that we'll obviously talk about as we go through our conversation, but I can't get over what Rizwan did there.
Yeah, that's such a defining moment.
Yeah, we like him. He's temperamentally the kind of guy that you want to do well, right? He's a theatrical kind of guy. We saw it today when he was hit by a ball when he was running between the wickets. He got up and started rubbing the ground, and Steve Smith on TV commentary is like, rubbing the ground's not going to make your arm feel any better, mate. You know, like there's a sense about
maybe it
Rizwan.
is. Maybe it's like a voodoo doll kind of situation.
Either way, I mean,
right?
He's a very likeable, very
maybe it's like Reiki, right? Where they don't actually touch you; they just put their hands in the air near you, and then it's supposed to be like energy healing.
But he needed to play a different kind of role today. He needed to be the leader that saw them through and to nurse them to the final over, or probably over 19 ideally in a T20 chase. And that's the thing, he couldn't do it. He exposed the middle order, and that's where India's all-round class. They did not put a foot wrong in those last 6 overs. Everything they did was right. After missing a couple of opportunities in the field, Shubman Dubé down at deep backward square, which was an absolute shocker. But all is forgiven. 2 short balls from Hardik Pandya, bowled into the pitch, find the shoulder of the bat. Every plan they went for worked when it mattered most.
And until that bit, they've done okay, right? They're chasing a run of ball. Babar Azam comes out. He only makes 13, but he makes them briskly enough.
The on-drive.
The pull shot as well. Bumrah, wasn't it, the pull? Gets him a little bit of something, gets him going. Usman Khan comes out, also makes 13, but again, quickly enough. And then Fakhar Zaman comes in and just puts a bit of oxygen into it in the middle. Plays aggressively, hits a 6, hits a 4. And at that point, it's like, well, Rizwan's allowed to go a bit more slowly because Fakhar's there, able to pick up the pace at the other end, right? The point where he gets out is key, but then it's just the low percentage, like you say, of going across the line to Bumrah like that with Rizwan. From that Fakhar Zaman boundary in I think it's the 11th over or the 12th, they hit 1-4 after that through the rest of the innings, and that was the outside edge. It was Imad Wasim, wasn't it, who got the outside neck that went for 4. So they didn't hit a deliberate boundary. They couldn't hit a deliberate boundary from that point on until the final over when Nasim Shah scoops one and then almost, so they need 4-6-6 off the last 3, gets the 4 with the scoop, almost gets the 6 with a lofted cover drive, but it's not enough. Through that whole period, couldn't find the boundary, kept hitting the sweepers again and again, and like you say, it was Hardik Pandya bowling back of a length, it was Akshar Patel coming on for a really parsimonious over, and it was that Bumrah over that not only gets the wicket but goes for bugger all. That means that suddenly the equation blows out. You should never be needing more than 6 and over when you've started needing a run of ball. Like, that should be possible to stay on top of.
Well, it went from 6 to 7 to 10 to 18 in quite quick time, and that's because they came to a grinding halt. And look, I've been to 5 games here at this stadium now, and they've all followed a similar pattern where you're watching Team 1 bat and you're like, well, they're not going to get enough runs. Team 2, the chasing team's going to get there later on today, but every time
this pitch wasn't quite the shit tip that some of the others.
The pitch that was really challenging was the Sri Lanka South Africa game and the Ireland India game. Those were the ones that balls were hitting the same spot and doing that. And I'm displaying my hands here for those who are listening on the podcast.
We're showing 2 axes of movement, one low and one high.
One WinViz or CricViz measure showed that at exact same spot on the pitch that Arshdeep Singh hit against Ireland, one went 60 centimetres off the ground, the other went 1.7 metres off the ground. So that variable bounce is what made it so difficult earlier in the week, but they put the work in. They've moved over to pitch 2. Nothing wrong with today's surface other than being tacky. And that does mean you're going to get a slower game. Slow outfield that was sodden. It was so heavy, the rain. Around the scheduled start time of, it was 10:30, then pushed back to 11. It was bucketing down with rain. It belies the fact that we've got a beautiful day right now. It's a lovely time to start a game of cricket.
Clear blue sky above us. Lovely,
But it's already been, these long square boundaries, the sandy outfield here has made it hard to score. A bigger outfield, I reckon, than the MCG, which is, always the benchmark for big outfields. And
I'll give you one. 2 threes in the first over of a T20 run chase.
Exactly.
When's the last time you saw 2 threes?
Exactly. There are some competitions where you wouldn't see a 3 hit entirely in T20 cricket, given the way that fields are set and all the rest of it. So when Rohit hit a 6 in the first over, that glorious shot over deep mid-wicket, which he timed the pants off, you're thinking, well, Rohit has been watching the games here and realises that scoring 6s will be more important than scoring 4s. But even that, as we said with his dismissal,
maybe
his mode of
easier
dismissal,
in a way.
In some respects, we saw a reverse ramp at one point. We saw Rishabh play cleverly when he went across his stumps and fell over and managed to hoik it over his right shoulder and go for 6 as well. There were moments of brilliance in this game, but this is nothing like the Indian Premier League that's just finished. It's a very different kind of tournament. It's been a very interesting handful of games here at the Eisenhower Park.
So Rishabh with 42 off 31, that ends up being the decisive innings really, and Akshar's 20 off 18. Just attacking Akshar up the order to number 4, which helped. It was interesting through that first innings. I mean, India should have lost this game on the basis of how they battered. You've got Kohli, that ball sort of stopping in the pitch, slaps it to point where it gets caught. You've got Rowett scooping one out to deep backward square where Harris Ralph takes the catch. And then so many of the wickets that fell after that were basically caught mid-on or mid-off. Players trying to flat bat or straight bat, but trying to slam them down the ground and just unable to time the ball. And so many catches taken in front of the wicket for single-figure scores.
They lost 7 for 30. They only scored 38 runs in their last 10 overs. On 2 occasions, they had wickets taken from consecutive deliveries. Mohammad Amir was on a hat-trick. Harris Ralph, who had, I think, 15 runs taken from his first over, bounced back splendidly. A number of those, by the way, were, again, kind of back to what I said with Kohli and Rowett, catches in front of square. Jadeja was caught at cover first ball. Bumrah was caught at cover first ball as well. That isn't unrelated to the pitch, but I suppose there's a bit of sense of watching the game play out in front of you. Do you let the ball come to you a little bit more on a pitch like this? But they were trying to force the issue and were both caught giving Pakistan opportunities for hat-tricks. But yeah, that's that classic case where you see wickets slow down the run rate in the second half of a limited overs innings. And look, Mohammad Amir did say at the halfway mark when he was interviewed that 119 is going to take some chasing. Pakistan knew that however well they came back, India getting to where they got to by the end of the power play, they were 50 for 2 at the end of the 6 overs. You want to go all the way back. That's actually the defining passage of play from a batting perspective all day. The first 6 overs bring 50 runs. The rest of the game brings nowhere like that kind of run rate. Yeah,
I mean, they're 89 for 3 going into the 12th even. And from that point, make, what's that, 40 more runs? I don't know, about
not even that. 30. I mean, as I say, at the halfway mark, 30. They were 81 for 3, so it was 30. Yeah, that's when the wheels fell off. And you know, they've got this galaxy of stars to call upon, and really none of them far apart from Rishabh.
Yeah, with the bat, certainly.
No one went with him.
Right, and then Bumrah is the one with the ball. A word for Mohammad Amir, who had a horrible day against the USA with that super over and the wides, but comes back, takes the 2 in 2, dismisses Rishabh, the most important wicket to take on the day, 2 for 23 off his 4 overs. Naseem Shah, 3 for 21.
Bowled beautifully, Naseem. He bowled so quickly. The way he threatened the outside edge early on, then eventually goes on
and batted beautifully for 5 balls at the end.
Well, that's right, he did too. But they brought Akshar up to number 4, which India do from time to time when they want to get the left-hand, right-hand thing going on. Nothing wrong with that. That wasn't a sign of panic. That was a sign of them playing the percentages.
And also licence to attack.
Yeah, of course. And he batted nicely for his 20 from 18 balls, hit a 6 in there as well. But Naseem Shah eventually went through the gate with a beauty. I don't know what the speed radar said, but it must have been 90-something. Pakistan going in with 4 quicks, all of them taking a wicket, 3 of them multiple wicket takers, plus the chaotic run out at the end to get the final wicket at the end of the 19th over. Pakistan got a lot right with their planning and with their fielding. I mentioned before the catch at Usman took. There was a terrific catch in the deep later on as well. It was Ifti Mania out in the deep off Hardik Pandya, who hooked him from shoulder height, and he had a lot of work to do and got to the contest with a man running over the back of him. We saw them. Saw 2 fielders collide later on.
Did actually. There was some contact there.
Arshdeep Singh was it down there with Ravindra Jadeja. That also could
taking the catch off Ifti, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could have been a late twist. So Ifti took a great one.
So Bumrah. So there's 2 overs to go, and he takes on Bumrah off the pads. Nearly gets it, but doesn't quite collect it. So it goes much higher than it goes long, and ends up being held down there. But by that point, I mean, I did wonder about leaving it that late to go. I thought surely Bumrah's coming back to bowl one of the last 2. You've got to go in the 16th or the 17th, not the 18th. And give yourself some sort of chance to bring it under a runner ball, and then Bumrah's the one under pressure. I mean, they just dogged that chase, and I know it's hard out there. I know it's hard to get your eye in, but that little partnership between Imad Wasim and Shadab Khan is basically the match-losing partnership, because Imad can't time the ball. He ends up with 15 off 23, and Shadab's only faces 7 balls, but again gets out trying to hit, but it doesn't work, and they just took so much momentum. Not that the innings was flying along, but suddenly that was the point where you were like, oh, this is now panic time for Pakistan.
And ultimately for India, they're always the best team on paper coming into these tournaments, right? When you frame it up and look at matchup by matchup.
And the vast amount of T20 cricket they play.
Exactly, with the competition they've got and the competitive nature of the IPL, you look at it and you think, well, they should win. But where it's different, and Harsha and I used to talk about this all the time when we made our Crickbuzz videos, it's India's seam bowling. And that wasn't the case forever until about 2018, and now it's absolutely the case. Bumrah is the best in the world for a reason. Arshdeep Singh's now done it in back-to-back T20 World Cups. He was great today as well.
Siraj was
he probably conceded figures that weren't reflected at the end, but I thought the way that Arshdeep bowled off the top, conceding 16 runs from his first 3 overs.
Siraj gave away nothing.
Siraj gave away nothing in relative terms.
Yep.
The way he did bowl a front foot no ball.
He bowled a no ball late.
Which Sonny absolutely slaughtered him on commentary for, but these things happen.
None for 19 off 4 is doing
None
your
for
bit.
19 off 4 is doing his bit. Hardik Pandya with the extra tricks that he has, bowling again, as he was at the back end of the IPL, getting 2 wickets with balls that he bowled into the pitch, that variety, and then having the experience of Jadeja and Akshar as the second spinner. They are so well balanced, but I think it all comes back to their seam bowling, which wasn't something that we ever said about India. It was Pakistan who had the quicks, and Pakistan's quicks did bowl well today.
Did their job.
When India go on and win this group, and they will from this point forward, there's almost no doubt about that, unless they were to lose to America in the final game here in a few days' time. Really looking at the group, Jeff, and you've been doing the numbers on this just a moment ago, it's Pakistan who need other results to go their way and a lot to go right for them, and America to lose to Ireland. So
the way this pans out, Pakistan could level the US on 4 points. They win their last 2. They've got Canada and Ireland, and if they beat them both soundly, then they could try to jump the USA on net run rate. If the USA lose to India badly enough to bring the net run rate down and lose to Ireland. Now, the USA losing to Ireland is no short thing at the moment, because, in fact, I'd be backing the other way, honestly, with the kind of run of form they've had, the way the Irish couldn't do it the other day.
Just think Ireland playing here twice. I think Ireland playing here twice. The game isn't here, is it? They're playing in Florida.
They're playing in Florida.
So America play.
Neither teams play there.
America play India here.
Yes, they play India here, but Ireland in Florida. So, and they will have played at that ground before, which the Irish won't have much. Or they might have done a little bit in the Intercontinental Cup days or whatever. Down in Florida, there might be, Paul Sterling might have. He's probably got 3 first-class hundreds on that ground. If we go and look that up. But that's the way they still need USA to lose both their remaining games and lose them well enough that Pakistan could jump them. Pakistan at the moment don't deserve to do that. Given the way they dogged it today, they deserve to be out of the tournament.
All right, Jeff, I think it's time that we should go to the Final Word Hall of Fame. The Final Word Hall of Fame is brought to you by Westfield London.
It is.
And Westfield.
Stratford City.
Don't
forget Stratford City.
Never do.
Never do.
If you thought the T20
it's a real
World
1-2.
Cup,
It's a 1-2 punch. It's Lillian Thompson.
The T20 World Cup or the Euro 2024 was this summer's hottest event. Think again, because the Sabibi's Rainbow Adventure is coming to Westfield London. I'm excited about this for my girls.
I did this with Bharat yesterday, and I was like, I have no idea what this means, and you have no idea what this means. But I'm like, Adam will know what this means.
Sabibi's is where you see it's like the ABC Kids for England. It's where you see the little people programming. Book your tickets for an immersive experience for children and grown-ups to enjoy together, where you'll journey through the worlds of Bluey, Hey Dougie, Jojo and Gran Gran. Jojo and Gran Gran is Winnie's favourite show at the moment. Not to talk down Bluey at all, but she watches it a lot.
Really?
The grandmother is from St Lucia, so I've been to St Lucia before. Now Winnie's very excited about
I'll be there in a few days' time.
Mr. Tumble and Friends, truly a murderer's row of 4 entertainers to rival with the great West Indian bowling attacks of the 1980s. Tickets are selling fast, so book now for a fun family day out. Westfield, London. Come for the talking dog from Queensland and stay for the what's that say?
What does that say? Retailtainment.
Retailtainment. I'm like, I don't recognise that word.
No.
That's because Shin's had some fun.
That's because he's made a word up.
That's because he's made a word up. That looks fun to me. Sabibi's, they do great work. I'll be there. You can make sure of that. I'll be getting a ticket.
All right.
We've got lots of final word stuff to get through. Jeff, why don't you give your impressions of the day at large and I'll go from there.
Hall of Fame. I mean, the day at large was great. I did spend some time out in the stands, and the noise and so on was there. People have made the point, Neil Manthorpe and others, that this stadium was built for this game, and the other games happening here are merely coincidental. Today is the day that it was full, as opposed to some of the pretty dire days looking at it. I was having a look at the tickets a few days ago. There were still VIP tickets available, $10,000 a pop on the ICC website.
I'm across quite a few of the numbers here. So there were 7,000 tickets sold today in the corporate area that was otherwise unused almost entirely. The most expensive of those were going for $10,000 USD. On the resale market last night, it was up to 4 figures just to have a chance of getting a seat at the back of the grandstand. So that gives you a sense of scale here. It is being taken down next week, but I just want to raise one other point in all of this. $30 million to make this stadium. The ICC brought in $20 million today in gate receipts.
Wow.
So 2/3 of the cost of putting up the stadium has been serviced in the space of 1 incredibly lucrative game. You know, the most watched game in sport, or most watched game in the world, which they always say about these World Cups. 16 times India have played Pakistan now in a completed World Cup game. Pakistan have won once, and that was in the Dubai World Cup in 2021. So, you know, whenever India play Pakistan, it's a huge event. India almost always win, and there is that demand to be here to witness that, and so on and so forth. But there was so much else going on here today. A little bit Ricky Ponting. So because it's a temporary stadium, everyone needs to use the portaloos at the back of the ground. Like, there are no toilets on our side of the ground.
There's no plumbing.
There's no plumbing. So a few Ricky things today. One, I saw him come out of the gents. There was a queue, of course, because there's people everywhere. And as he's walking out of the portaloo, people queuing for selfies with Ricky. He wasn't best pleased with that. I can assure you, he had work to do upstairs.
Let the man take a piss, all right? Like, we all need that little bit of privacy, that little bit of me time, just to gather our thoughts and consider what we're doing with our lives.
And the other thing with Ricky was the halftime entertainment, if you want to call it that, today was some Emirates flight attendants dances. And punter having to go out there and talk up what a great event it was. I just hope he was getting a nice cut from that, a nice big slice from whatever he was doing on TV at the halfway mark. But no, the events at large, it was huge. There was a basketball player here who is a 7'4" Frenchman who is en route to becoming the best basketball player in the world. He was here. A number of other...
Is that Wemby?
Yeah, Wemby.
Wembayana?
There you go. Yeah. You know your stuff. There were a couple of NFL players here. There were a whole bunch of celebrities. Sachin did a lap of the ground, as he always does at these types of things, and took the applause of the punters and so on. What else I want to say about today? The security was full on, but I thought it was handled reasonably well, like the way in, way out. I've seen no crazy reports of people being stuck for an hour online or anything like that.
My Hall of Fame is just a huge steaming piles of horse shit left up and down the roads by the various police horses who were, they were all over the place.
There was a massive banner that was hung out of the plane saying "Release Imran Khan." So, I mean, there is the political angle of today. We haven't spoken about it. It's not really a day for that, but Jay Shah being here, there was probably 75%.
To be clear, Jay Shah has not locked up Imran Khan. That's not in Jay Shah's portfolio.
But, on the political side of things, there was 75% Indian fans here today or thereabouts. That was probably what Modi was expecting to get by way of two-party preferred in the national election. Instead, he was sworn in today with a minority government arrangement. But the fact that Jay Shah's here, you need to join the dots. It's only 2 links away from the government to the bloke who runs cricket who was here. So that is noteworthy on the way through, and the Imran Khan story on the other side of the border as well. So politics, India, Pakistan, it's always part of it. But, if you want to really zoom out, in 10 years' time, when we've had the LA 2028 Olympics, when this World Cup has had whatever legacy kick on it has had, so much of that will come down to the success of having a ball-tearing game here today. An American record, 34,028 people here, a lucrative game. Again, I think I said this on the first day here, it would be uncharitable for me to be critical of how this has actually played out. I think that I was as cynical as anybody about the World Cup coming to America. But I feel like this will be something that we look back on as a positive for the game at large, and that is something that we all should, I think, celebrate and find ways to celebrate in our own way.
And a positive for the USA team that Pakistan lost, because that would have made their route out of the group much tougher if Pakistan had got the win. Yeah, you lose some on the swings, you win some on the roundabouts. That's it. We better wrap it up. It has been the final word World Cup Daily, Day 9, India-Pakistan. Jeff Lemon, Adam Collins.
Wait for the big one, Day 9. Oman-Scotland.
Oman-Scotland.
That's the match of the day.
That is a big one. That decides whether Scotland can knock out England later on in the group.
I was going to say, there's more going on that than might meet the eye of that game. So we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Okay. All right. That's it. We're out of here. The Daily will be back tomorrow. That's how dailies work. Bye.
Bye.